someone's out to make a sequel. So it's our job to observe the rules of the sequel.
What are you talking about?
There's certain rules that one must abide by in order to make a successful sequel. Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate.
How do we find the killer, Randy? That's what I want to know.
Well, let's look at the suspects. There's the obvious boyfriend, Derek.
So you think it's Derek?
Not so fast. Forget the boyfriend. It's tired. Who else do we got?
There's
Mickey, the freaky Tarantino film student. But if he's a suspect, so am I. So let's move on.
Maybe you are a suspect.
Well, if I'm a suspect, you're a suspect.
Do you have a point? Okay, let's move on.
Scream 2.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome back. It is our premiere of season 4. Can you believe that?
Brand new season
4.
I can't believe it.
And we're starting out with a real scream.
Hey, hello.
It's a scream, baby.
Well, everybody out there listening, welcome back once again. My name is Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yes, indeed.
We decided to start out with a very topical movie with
I would say
Scream
so.
2022 that just came out.
Yes,
we'll
indeed.
talk about that later at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But we had our friend Andy back on the show. Andy, welcome back.
Welcome.
Hey guys,
welcome.
thanks for having me. Good to be back.
You were
Thanks
last
for coming
on for our Thanksgiving weekend Addams Family Values episode, and we invited you back on to watch Scream 2, directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, released December 12th, 1997.
Yes, indeed. Scream 2.
Scream 2, I mean, a standby of me as a young person. Just in my VHS collection,
Just you.
I watched the shit out of this movie.
In particular,
saw-
Scream 2.
In particular, Scream 2, I think.
Okay.
I distinctly remember seing it opening weekend.
Same.
I
Yeah.
saw it that Friday night, yeah.
Okay.
And I really thought I was going to be the Jada. I really did. I was like, this is what
is
it's
where I
come
die.
to. I also had like this kind of final girl desire, really, as I think all gay men do. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Jada. Thank
Oh,
goodness. Thank goodness for Jada.
We'll break down
in
that
this movie.
scene
I love
further,
her.
but I saw this movie in the theater as well. I think I was in the 6th grade at the time. I was probably like 12
Too young.
years old. And this was fully like family movie night. I remember my mom going to see this with me, my stepdad, my sister, I think, sat with like her cool friends. Her cool high
Away
school
from you
friend.
guys.
On the other side of the theater.
Yeah, I mean, but it was like family movie night.
Sure.
Seeing Scream 2. And I think that our theater, the Judith Theater, got this pretty early. Like, usually we had to wait weeks, if not months, for
get
new
the cool
releases.
movies, yeah.
But I want to say that our theater booked Scream 2 in December when it
Okay.
came out.
All right, all right.
Pete, what about you? Do you remember
I
seeing
have
this in
no
the theater?
memory
You
of
have
the
no
first time
memory?
seeing this movie. No, none at all. And I feel like I would have a bigger memory of seeing this in the theater because the first shots of the movie are the Rialto.
The Rialto.
Oh,
I
we
would
got to talk about
actually
the
go
opening
see
scenes. Yep.
movies in college and in high school. Saw Train Spotting there. So, but I don't have this like, oh yeah, I remember when I was sitting in the theater and saw the Rialto and was like, oh, and I was like the Leonardo DiCaprio, like
You're the Leo meme?
I can't whistle, yeah, pointing. So yeah, I feel like maybe I didn't see it in the theater, and maybe I just kind of caught it, rented it somehow. I remember liking the first Scream. I feel like to me there was always some weird script stuff in this movie. It is funny now; it's pretty hilarious
Yeah.
watching these people talk to each other.
We of course
But,
we stan Mr. Kevin Williamson, like a huge like staple
Mr. Kevin Williamson.
LGBT screenwriter. But
right.
at least Pete and I, we sometimes like to give Kevin's writing like a hard time.
As
That
we should.
there is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like you can just tell that when Kevin writes these lines, that he is so in love with every single word that he's writing.
It's got a Sorkian vibe to it, yeah.
I mean, just in particular, the Randy's film theory class. He's got film theory this morning. That entire scene is just a groan. I just groan. I laugh. It's charming, whatever. But yeah, I do not have. I mean, is it? I do not have a definitive memory of the first time I saw this movie. I just. It's one of those movies that I just always have in my brain, so it's just like I saw it at some point. So.
And I also feel like it was one of those movies on premium cable of the late 90s and early 2000s that I feel like this was on probably Showtime or HBO once a day.
So, Andy,
for like years.
You saw it opening, what did you say, opening weekend, opening night?
Opening weekend. I've got a Neve Campbell connection.
Ah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk. Can we talk about that here?
Absolutely.
Breaking news.
I don't think she'll mind. I don't think she'll mind. I've asked her permission. No, I'm kidding.
Directly
it's not that heavy.
Neve.
But so I grew up in LA, and my cousin, quote unquote cousin, was Owen on Party of Five.
I think that you've told me this before.
Owen, okay.
That's amazing.
Who was Owen on Party of the Five?
He was the youngest of the five.
Oh, the kid, like the little kid, the baby.
He was a plot device
Sure.
than a character.
Yeah.
I think the most substantial thing to ever happen was he got lost in a mall.
Right.
And it was an existential crisis for the Matthew Fox character. But I, at 7, 8, feeling very arrogant, was like, oh yeah, Neve is a close friend.
Sure.
And I would tell everyone at school that. So I went to go see Scream. I think I was all of 8. Scream 1, yeah.
Goodness.
I was all of 8. My brother took me because Neve was a friend. So probably shouldn't have been seeing it that young.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
It was very formative. And now I'm gay. So there's a direct line from that moment to now.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
But I distinctly remember going to the set when they were filming one day, seeing her, telling her how much I love Scream, and very first thing out of her mouth was, "Aren't you a little young?"
Sure.
And then she asked my cousin, she was like, and he was, several years younger than me. She's like, "Did you see it?" He was like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Wait, what's wrong with your parents?"
I love that.
And it was like, "But you're our friend. We wanted to support our friend.
You're our close friend that we hang out with and see all the time." So it's like, obviously we'd watch your movie.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Sure, 7-year-old, go
I said
back
this
to the
Just
first
like,
grade."
and she's just like, I'm about to make 54. Do not watch that movie.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. But I mean, the Ryan Phillippe of all that.
Yeah.
I actually asked her, and I asked Jennifer Love Hewitt what it was like working with Ryan Phillippe. Because that was a transformative man for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Covered
absolutely.
many a Ryan Phillippe movie on this podcast, including 54.
Yeah, no, he has done a great service to our community.
Absolutely.
Just helping us figure some things out. And don't we love a Scream Queen? And they all just came from that same little universe as we see in this movie.
Yeah. That really great period of like, did it start off with Scream 1? Probably. But I mean, all these gals all in the same orbit of each other. I mean, we're going to talk about it. Sarah Michelle Gellar in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like SMG was the big get, almost playing the Drew Barrymore role. I mean,
Or type of
stunt casting, because Buffy was a pretty big hit in season 1, but also not as big as a hit as people like to remember it. I feel like Buffy was probably on the bubble
definitely an underdog.
of getting axed in like season 1 and 2, and then it just caught on more.
Yeah.
But I feel like her casting in this movie was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
She featured heavily. That was a weird thing going into it. I mean, the spoiler trailer stuff. She's going to die. If you watch the trailer, there's like her getting thrown off a balcony, her getting stabbed in the trailer. So you know it's coming, but she's 4th on the cast list or something. We're like, okay, so the function she's going to serve. But that's one of the great things about this movie is we get 2 Drew Barrymore-esque scenes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, we should probably note that this movie was fast-tracked. So Scream came out December of 96, unofficial Christmas movie, like alternate Christmas programming for the release schedule. Monster hit. After it crossed $50 million, they're just like, we need that sequel fast-tracked. This fucking movie was shot in probably summer of 97, came out December. And I think that they started filming this movie without a completed script. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
There's a lot about the script, and I don't even know what's real out there because there's, in the fandom.
Yeah.
But Yeah, you can tell. I mean, you can tell there were tweaks. You can feel the tweaks.
And I think it comes together pretty well. It doesn't feel like Scream 3 where you're just like, oh, yeah, they were writing this shit like the day of. That you can really tell it was Scream 3. But I think kind of overall, Scream 2 is pretty solid.
Yeah, I will say it's got something. This is something I really enjoyed about Scream 2022 was the tension throughout the, who's it going to be up until the very last minute of the reveal.
Yeah.
In watching this movie again, you really do feel like anyone.
A lot of red herrings set up in this movie.
All
we
of a
can
sudden,
go through
you're
all
like,
of them.
Is it Dewey? Is it Gale? When Sidney has that little hallucination scene, which I don't know if that's real, but when she's performing on stage. Right. I all of a sudden didn't trust Sidney so much.
Sure.
How dare you?
Everyone's a suspect.
You know who's not a suspect in my brain ever was Portia de Rossi and
I think
Rebecca Gay.
This movie would have been fucking wild if those two would have been revealed at the end on that stage.
Every time they show up at the sorority house or whatever in the doorway, just like, oh, what's going on?
And their pastels.
Like, is that really supposed to be to throw us off? Come on.
The only thing criminal about the two of them is Portia's eyebrow.
They are so dark.
I mean, this was probably right when she started Ally McBeal, I think, kind of shortly
She'd yet
after.
to have them tinted.
Yeah.
And I know that Rebecca Gayheart had read and I think gotten pretty far in the initial Scream casting as Tatum. And then they brought her back in for this movie.
I have a note of, I did look into that. That poor thing, she really had some casting hell to go through. Yeah. I read like she was up for maybe 3 parts in Scream. She was up for like 3 parts in this. And then they're like, all right, you're really committed. How about we give you this tiny little
kind
bit.
of a throwaway
We'll
thing.
give you the bitchy sorority girl.
Yeah.
I mean, she gets like her due in 1998 in Urban Legend.
Yes,
So,
finally.
She is very utilized in that movie.
I love that Urban Legend does have kind of this bigger cult following because to me, I just always thought it was an inferior
Scream
entry
knockoff.
and Scream knockoff kind of a thing.
I think it's the best of the Scream knockoffs too.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, there's some great people that obviously we get, Sidney, Gale Weathers, and Dewey coming back from the first movie. And also Randy. But we get some really cool new characters and actors in this movie.
We should probably talk about the opening death sequence with Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps.
Yes. So this is now we're setting up. This is the second entry in the Scream franchise, and we're setting up that we're getting kind of a name or a known actor to come in, start off the movie, and have this, really fun death scene.
Because she's not making it out. The second you see the two of them at the theater, they're not making it out.
And that's kind of the hallmark of this series is that they're playing on what we know about horror movies, right?
Yeah.
So, and they kind of play on like, well, we're the black people in this movie. So
I know, why are the black people always dying first? And then they do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting that when I was reading, I don't think that Maureen Evans, the character that Jada plays, was written as black.
Okay.
And I think that they probably just read Jada for it, and then they tweaked the script.
Yeah.
And they got sort of that banter about black people in horror movies.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I know that the script is written by
a white gay.
I was going to say a gay white man, writing for Jada Pinkett Smith.
And
Jada's just Jada Pinkett.
And Jada's probably someone that would speak up for certain
or say
lines.
like, I wouldn't say that, I'd say this kind of a thing. And because she does go on to give us her full Brenda moment.
You came back just in time. It looks like she's about to get it. Want some popcorn? See, if that was me, I would be out of there.
Full Brenda. Full Brenda, yeah.
Also, I like this opening sequence, and it's one of my favorites of the series because it does not open up with a phone call.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's not the traditional Scream opening. And even in the second movie, they felt like we didn't have to do a phone call for this first scene, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits well enough into the kind of
The story.
But also the set piece of
And
the opener with this actress that you were just kind of misdirected.
In your world building of what happened after the events of Woodsboro, that Gail wrote this book.
Yeah.
Huge bestseller, and of course they made it into a movie.
Yeah.
My brain breaks thinking about the levels of meta. And what's interesting is now we look for it. We look for metaphors.
Yeah.
We say, what is this really trying to say? We'll get straightforward narratives and wonder, what's it really about? And sometimes that's not intentional, but this movie has so much going on. Even in that scene alone.
Yeah.
They're talking about the horror tropes while living them.
Yeah.
She dies on a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a movie is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And very introspective or outerspective. I don't know how you phrase that. Of of the audience kind of thinking that they're in on the joke, but it turns out the joke's on them.
Well, it's kind of smart that everybody's so rowdy in the
she's
theater
dying
that
in
they're
front
not
of
paying
them,
attention.
and they're not getting it.
They thought it was a
until
promotional.
she's dead. Yeah.
So I'd like to break down the idea that this is okay. In this universe of this movie, the Woodsboro murders happen, right? The Stab movie is now fast-tracked, starring Tori Spelling, Luke Wilson, and
Heather Graham.
As Heather Graham, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And also, fun fact, Robert Rodriguez, I think he at least did the scenes with Tori and Luke.
Okay.
Directed those portions of the movie.
Such fun scenes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so this horror movie based on actual events where children were murdered.
Children.
By other
Let's
children.
remember that. Children.
Minors. Murdered by other minors. This is a literally beat for beat retelling on the screen. And it's this, I'm assuming it's opening night. I don't know. They didn't win these tickets on a radio contest, but they are still giving out to every seated ticket holder a full-on Ghostface costume.
Full mask.
Full
costume.
A glow-in-the-dark knife.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is... God, is it pre-Columbine?
Yeah. Columbine was April of 99.
It's pre-Columbine, pre-9/11, pre, that guy at Dark Knight, all that shit. So it's I guess wearing a mask in a movie theater is still above board.
Although I don't know, when we went to the new Spider-Man movie, we saw a lot of masks.
There were costumed people at Spider-Man.
There was costumed people, so maybe we've moved on.
A little bit more lenient with that shit. But okay, so that's crazy. But it's serving the purpose of we don't know who the real Ghostface is, right? Because everybody's Ghostface.
Fun Mr. X because there's Ghostface. There's Ghostface in the entire audience.
Everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Have we ever gone to a movie that has ever been this fucking wild?
I would leave. I would just be bitch,
I'm trying to watch a
give
movie.
me my $20.
Yeah.
I cannot watch this. These kids are
the tickets were free.
doing too much.
They need to
But were
sit the
they
fuck
free?
down.
Were they free?
They were free to them.
Why were they free to them?
Remember he said we didn't
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also
there's something in there about that.
Yeah, when they're in line. Oh, because he wants to go. She's supposed to be studying for
and it's
bio.
also it's a sneak preview. So they're
Sneak
trying to
preview.
get buzz.
So that's
also,
why they're giving away the.
I mean, the movie marketing must be doing a really good job because all of these young people are going into this movie fully knowing everything. Mm-hmm. So the Ghostface mask, Stab, they are invested in this movie.
So they already know the story.
So they already know the story.
Mm-hmm. The real story that actually happened where children were murdered. Okay. So then there's that. There's also the William Castle ghost face mannequin that is on a wire.
Filmed in Stabovision.
This movie is filmed in Stabovision, which apparently filmed in Stabovision, all that means is they turn on a black light in the movie theater. Oh, because it says filmed in Stabovision. Sure. They turn the black light on, and then everyone...
I didn't quite get that.
And then everyone in the audience is just ooh, look at my ghost face mask. It's glowing in the dark now. That's what Stabovision is? That's not a thing. First of all. Okay. So then...
We should also say that these movie theater interiors are the Vista. The exteriors are the Rialto and the interiors are the Vista.
The lobby is the Rialto in South Pasadena. But once they get into the auditorium itself, it's the Vista. Yes.
Oh.
So yes, this has been
Yeah, not
your
quite big enough, huh?
Southern California Movie Minute.
One of my favorite movie theaters in Los Angeles.
The Vista's great. It's beautiful.
Just bought by Tarantino too.
Freaky film student Tarantino. Mm-hmm. What makes him freaky?
Oh, I think it's his hair.
Freaky Tarantino.
It's
film?
his hair. It's his
spiky hair.
It's his persona.
There is something-
Tarantino's just sort of a chatterbox.
I think, we'll get to that. But why is Timothy Olyphant supposed to be like? He's supposed to be a little bit more of a kind of quirky weirdo guy. But he just, to me, I don't know. Maybe it's passage of time. He just looks like he's just wearing a white t-shirt. Like, I don't know. There's nothing really.
Yeah, I think pop culture has become so saturated that like we know so many people like that.
He just seems like a douchey kind of movie guy, which is fine.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem like, ooh, stay away from him. He's weird. Mm-hmm. He just talks a lot in class.
I was going to say earlier, the closest thing that I've ever been to at a movie screening like this, a wild screening, was when I went to Twilight New Moon.
Twilight?
Like, it was, that theater was out of control.
My gosh, the energy that
it was like
you and
sitting
and
in the audience of the Muppet Show. And like fully with girls just like shouting at the screen
flying
and
around.
Talking like
turn me into a vampire, daddy.
Just like when
I want to live forever.
When Jacob takes off his shirt.
Shit,
when she falls off the bike,
fainting.
The audience lost their damn minds. There are also certain audience members that were not happy with the movie. That were like commenting on it.
Not in the book. Didn't happen.
It was out of control.
Fake.
Maybe not quite the tomfoolery that's happening in the Stab screening.
Riff-raff,
but pretty close though.
People were I remember seeing Attack of the Clones and people saying fake to like special effects. Oh, just going fake.
Ooh,
fake.
That's harsh.
Well, you know what?
Fucking nerd.
Of course that is fake.
This is a space movie.
That is a digital effect.
Space magicians.
You mean they didn't have the budget to go to Tatooine?
Yeah, exactly right. Fake. Okay, we're not going to break down this entire movie beat by beat, but I really need to dissect this scene. It is insane.
So, okay, first of all, just the blind luck of Ghostface being in the stall, knowing Omar Epps is coming. Like, did he look out and he's like, he's going to be?
He's the date of Marine. Yeah. He's going to come to the bathroom, this bathroom.
And also knowing that Omar Epps was going to leave his seat when Jada gets up and takes his money to go buy popcorn. I asked for your money.
Yeah, I have my money.
I asked for your money.
All right, Jada.
Jada delivers that line like a pro. But knows to get...
I know my shit. Yes, she does. Mm-hmm.
But also, like, he scares her, so, like, he leaves his seat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very convenient screenwriting, so...
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't break it down
don't think about
too
it.
hard.
Don't
We shouldn't think about it too hard.
But what I'm thinking about too hard is how you get a, like, hunting knife through that fiberglass Formica bathroom stall.
And he's not, like, breaking his hand as he's doing it.
I don't know. This is, like, defies...
And did he like look over? Because he had to get that knife just
right in the ear. Yeah, it's a little sus. I
like to. I mean, of course, we can say the killer spoiler because we're covering the movie, and I'm assuming that everyone has seen
of this
almost
25-year-old movie.
30-year-old movie. But I like to think it's Aunt Jackie from Roseanne hiding in that bathroom stall.
I think so.
I want to hope this is her.
I think it's her.
I hope that this is the one that she gets to do.
Mrs. Loomis. Yeah. So that's wild. I really do love the recreation of the opening scene of Stab. The opening scene of Stab.
Yeah, I think it's really great editing how they cut them sitting in the audience watching the screen to when it goes full screen and you're actually watching the movie.
Oh yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty.
I think it's very successful.
Yeah, it's really seamless. I do love how the Hollywood elements. We never see nudity in any of the Scream movies, and yet they're referencing that. We see how they're going. And we don't actually
clothes
see
off. Yeah.
And why is she naked? Why has she got to be butt naked?
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, they threw in like, oh, y'all thought the first movie was referencing Psycho. Well, Stab is not as artfully produced, so we're just going to throw in full-on Psycho references.
Yeah.
In the middle of this.
And it has that brilliant style of Heather Graham acting that I never quite know. Is Heather Graham a bad actress? Is she playing a bad actor? Is it a little bit of both?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
I
sort of
like you already.
It's just sort of
that line.
the beauty of a Heather Graham
It's supposed to be a bad line, right?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so.
I don't even know you and I dislike you already. It has to be. It's supposed to be corny. Mm-hmm. It has to be. Let's just
it definitely is.
And I just love how beautiful her house is. How he's up on on the ceiling looking through like a glass skylight.
All the little the funny thing is in Stab they do the little like meerkat ghost face like popping up out of corners. But they fully do that in this movie.
In this movie, they do. They do, yeah.
It's like they're poking fun at it, but it's like, oh, but that's real.
I mean, like, in the first movie, you see, like, Ghostface, like, hide in the bushes in, like, a convenience store at one time in the full mask. So, I guess these movies are never really that subtle.
I will say the violence of Stab, I mean, if you actually watch her death scene, which is it's brutal.
It's crazy.
It is, like, full out. Like cannibal holocaust.
Yeah, no, he's just stabbing her over and over and over again. I did read that Wes Craven's strategy was for the MPAA, because they had a hard time getting an R rating for the first one, was he would just make everything ultra violent. So then he
could pull back.
Sure. In a way that he was like, I'm never going to show this.
Yeah.
But then if he would pull back and the perception would be, well, that's better.
Yeah.
So that's how he'd get away with it. But if you're actually he's just like, they have a shot of her like in a, with trees around her, just getting stabbed over and over and over again. You're like, we get it. We get it.
Yeah. And Jada's like super scared.
Oh my gosh. So Jada's death here. Yeah, so let's talk about this because it's first of all, the fact that she's able to walk down an aisle, get upstairs,
stabbing the back. Ooh.
Oh yeah, no, this is really brutal, and I think this is a really good example of how the movie kind of blends the just absurdity of the situation and the satire with these like high stakes.
Yeah.
Because she is being very violently murdered and you feel it and you are devastated as someone watching it, knowing full well that it's like happening in this, very absurdist, wild space, this ruckus movie that we would not want to attend.
No.
And I think just the marrying of those two things is like, this is Scream. This is the Scream franchise at its finest, because I really care about what's happening to this woman.
Yeah.
While also being deeply entertained.
Yeah.
I read a quote today. I don't know for what interview this was for, but Jada said, I want to die in the most horrific death that has ever happened in a horror film. And she said she wanted it to be long and excruciating.
It was long.
It was long.
Jada knew that when she went out, she wanted it to be one of the most like excruciating deaths in a type of movie like this. And I think it's pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
There's one point where she makes a face and she looks at the audience.
Oh, the pain with like blood on her teeth.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And those people in the audience like start to take off their masks. Like, what the fuck is happening? Is this real? That one girl in the audience gets blood on
her arm.
What?
Yeah. We're watching it today and I was like, that is Jada's I never should have trusted you, white devil's face. She was just very much like, why did I come to this movie?
I have a bio midterm tomorrow.
Sandra Bullock is playing right down the street.
Right down the street. Oh, man. She should have saw Sandra Bullock. And then we cut to the most fabulous and lavishly huge dorm room.
Okay.
I've
that
ever
beautiful
seen.
pink. I like how they have these tiny little day beds that they kind of sleep on.
Yeah.
It's like you could have like king size beds in there if y'all wanted.
Fully have Cal Kings in there.
I can only imagine the room and board at Windsor College.
This is rivaling Felicity's dorm. Mm-hmm. Felicity's dorm room, if any of you remember, listeners back me up. Felicity's dorm room was a palace.
Yeah.
It was huge.
It like rivaled like a White House like stateroom.
It was the Lincoln bedroom.
The Lincoln bedroom.
It was fully Lincoln bedroom. But Sidney's dorm room is out of control. We only really see it in the scene, right?
That's the extent of it. Yeah. I also it's very hard to believe that woman would live in a bright pink room.
Yeah.
Maybe Hallie was like, "Come on, Sid, let's do this," and she's like, "I guess, like I want to rock the boat."
And just college dorms that you can paint the white walls.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can
I remember
totally do that.
having to like getting fined because I put some tape on the wall, got ripped off a little bit of the paint. I didn't even put holes in it, but they were like, "Oh, that'll be $150."
Holy cow.
The University of California system will find money wherever they can. Let me tell you.
Yes, and this is where we get introduced to Hallie, played by Elise Neal.
What was Elise Neal's big sitcom that she was on?
Elise Neal, you may remember her from she's in Hustle and
The
Flow. Gosh, I'm gonna have to look through her.
I think she was on the Hughleys.
We'll keep talking about our intro to Sid, and this is where this is kind of the first instance of what's now become Sidney's character of just like, I've been through this and I learn from it.
She's got the caller ID. She's ready to do this. Yep. She's like, this is my life.
Which every time we see it, me and Scott are always like, our family had that exact caller ID box.
Yeah.
That was like the first one that you could get.
Yeah.
That you could buy.
And Jada's mentioning Star 69. So in the first 10 minutes, we're hearing about
Star 69 is ass.
Yeah. I mean, these are always playing with the technology of the time. We've got the house locking system in Scream 2022.
Yeah, totally. Apps. So, app stuff. Yeah, you're right. That was new in Star 69. We're fairly new, in the middle 90s. So, but yeah, we always call it, and it's specifically that exact, like we had that exact color ID box when it was a separate box that you had to plug in, outside of your phone. You had to like daisy chain it into your phone. Nia Long was in fact in the Elise Neal. Sorry, everybody. Elise Neal. She did 89 episodes of the Hughleys. You're right, Scott. Very good. She was also in Mission to Mars.
Brian De Palma's Mission to Mars.
Yeah, Brian De Palma's Mission to Mars.
That one, yeah.
How about that?
So we sort of catch up with all of these characters where they are roughly a year after.
Yeah,
I mean, all of these characters are doing pretty well for themselves their freshman year of college.
Yeah.
I mean, Sidney is the lead.
She's got a boyfriend.
So here's my
of the musical.
Here's my question. Yeah. Lead in the musical as a freshman in college.
Yep.
All right.
The stunt casting.
Yes, okay.
They're like, oh, she's the one with the trauma.
But those like junior and senior girls are like, this bitch. She got the lead. Okay. Okay, so here's my question. In the movie theater, when Jada Maureen is getting popcorn and the girls behind her are having that conversation of like, this is freaking me out. This really happened, blah, blah, blah. She said, this happened to some kids in California.
A couple years ago.
Oh.
Well,
I mean, maybe they don't know.
But my thing is, so does that mean this takes place out of California?
I mean, I guess the first movie never really says where Woodsboro is. I mean,
but she just placed it in California. But if you're going to say that happened to some kids in California, you wouldn't say you know what I mean? If you're in California, you wouldn't say that happened to some kids in California.
Well, Windsor College has like a New England feel to it.
Yeah.
They shot it in Georgia.
Was it? And then didn't they use I could have sworn I read that like there was a little bit of UCLA in there, a little bit of USC, a little bit of LMU.
The fraternities, fun fact, were shot in Pasadena. Those are huge houses in Pasadena.
And Pasadena has some huge houses. This makes sense.
Yes,
this tracks.
But yeah, so I'm like, okay, it's probably not in California anymore. But just, Sidney and Randy, the sole survivors of this like crazy event, were probably just had this like, you want to go to college together?
I mean, probably. Yeah.
That's also very.
She's like, look, I ain't got no friends left.
That's also very 90210 that all of your main characters go to the same school
and Saved by the Bell. Yeah, they're all going to go to California
University.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, totally. So okay, so Sid and Randy are just like, all right, let's do this. We're gonna be our like, sisterhood.
I like that Hallie knows Randy's schedule. She knows that he
has film theory this
morning. Film theory. It's like, why does Hallie know this?
It is kind of weird.
Because the script needs her to.
Yeah, I don't know your schedule, much less my college roommates' friends.
You always laugh. You always laugh at the scene of it's the news guy outside of the Rialto, and he says there isn't a lot of details known except for their names.
Yeah, that's not usually how that goes.
No, that is the last thing that they're going to release.
Maureen Evans and Phil Stevens really hitting that hard.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're not minors, maybe they're 18, but still, like, come on. I don't know. Not in the lead. That's crazy.
Gosh, I wish I looked like that when I was 18.
Right? Shit. Oh my God. Maybe they're both getting their masters. Who knows? No, because Sidney has classes with Maureen. Well, she can. I don't know. But I mean, this is all leading up to my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh, the classroom
Randy's
scene.
film
So
theory.
the Randy's film theory scenes. These were reshot. So there is a deleted scene on our digital copy, of course, on the DVD, that they originally did this in a lecture hall without Sarah and Joshua.
Nope.
And they felt
made the
like
right choice.
they needed to break up the dialogue. They wanted to introduce Cece Cooper, so they brought Sarah in and Joshua, and they reshot this.
And Joshua Jackson Pacey is only in this scene.
This is pure cameo.
He's not at the
SMG
party.
gets a little bit more.
Yeah.
He had the Kevin Williamson connection.
Yeah, and the Caesar cut.
Mm-hmm. And the Clooney 90s Caesar cut, And I do have to say, like, it's kind of a clunky scene when you revisit it, but the reshot version is considerably better than what they had.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we get there's a lot of Randy grandstand moments of this movie talking about sequels.
He is insufferable.
But they
Just
are.
Every time they make a film reference, he's like got to, he's got to.
He has to do his little character work. Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. And then I thought it was so funny how immediately after that, when Sid confronts him, he's talking in a British accent.
Yeah.
Like, Randy, get serious. People are dead.
People are dying.
Like, you were literally there.
Kimberly.
Like, remember when you almost got killed last year? Do you remember any of that? Like,
No,
what a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It kind of irks me a little bit that Cece kind of like poo-poos T2.
She does.
And Aliens.
You got a hard on
Yeah.
for Cameron.
I'm just
There's
like,
no accounting for taste.
watch your mouth. You were talking
Aliens
about
is a really good
Aliens
movie.
That was probably the moment that he was like, I wasn't actually going to do that name thing, but I'm going to kill her.
I'm going to kill her next.
I'm going to kill her.
I mean,
I
we're
love
talking
Cameron.
about two of the greatest action movies ever made.
Yeah.
Two of the greatest sequels ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break.
But I like how it ends with, oh, I got it. The Godfather, Part 2. And the entire class is just like, oh, okay, yeah.
And then Mandy does this. Oh, God. It's
In the middle of class.
But yeah,
so annoying.
this class scene is ridiculous, but I kind of love it, though.
And the professor is just sitting there, just like
yeah.
so pleased with himself, just like, yes, my students, you all have surpassed me in your knowledge of film theory and our discussion of our impeccably timed discussion of sequels. I love that scene so much, and I hate it.
So then after
Let's
this, we
watch
get
it now.
I was going to say, guys, and then after this, we get, and this is probably my favorite part, Jerry O'Connell.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Hopping over, like, he just, like, scales the building.
I feel like, to me, and maybe this is just my, like, idiot's, like, take on watching a movie on, like, very first surface level. To me, he was the most obvious, like, well, I think it was him. Because they're very much giving him the, like, popping up out of nowhere, like, hey, Sidney, what's going on?
Yeah.
He
always just sort
he's
of
the most
appears.
obvious.
He always
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sort of appears in very fishy situations.
I mean, because, especially in comparison to Billy, because, like, Billy was just weird.
Yeah.
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 Billy was very weird. He was very sketchy.
sort of
and then you
sketch,
get
yeah,
this, like,
yeah.
what does she say? He's pre-med, no psychotic tendencies.
She goes from white trash weirdo
Yeah.
to just sort of waspy,
Yeah.
like goody-goody.
Yeah.
And-
And I have a bone to pick with Jerry O'Connell's styling in this movie.
Oh, the oversized shirts, the khakis.
I mean, but that was just sort of
the braided belt.
But that was just sort of how square young people dressed.
But
at
the
time.
party, he looks so much more cool and casual and comfortable.
Yeah.
The party, he's actually wearing jeans, for God's sake.
I mean, when
you
his
know?
family summers in the Berkshires, is that really what he's wearing?
Yeah, right.
Loafers?
Yeah.
I was-
He's wearing like loafers, pleated khakis, which, again, I know 97, but even in 97, they looked bad.
I was commenting of just the evolution of men's styling from 97 to 2022. Meanwhile, Jerry O'Connell now probably just has painted on skinny jeans that you just have to peel off of him. And he's
Happy
like,
to, happy to.
And now he's just turned into this daddy in like his 50s.
Oh, he's doing
just
great.
like
I think he's
can
probably
just
only
hit it.
like
Oh, and you know what I love?
48, 47,
And can we
48,
just also,
something
like, a reason I've always stand him was Fat Kid and Stand
Yeah.
By Me.
Yeah.
And then he turned into
Vern.
that. Glow.
Vern. Yeah, he's like the classic, like, he was like one of the first, like, big time glow ups because he was Vern, you know? And
Yeah,
then all of a sudden,
having also blown up myself, I really. Jerry O'Connell gave me hope. As a thick little boy, I was like, I'm going to grow up to be hot.
And I think this was
because
one
of Jerry O'Connell, I did.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, this wasn't one of the first things because he had done
Sliders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
all
we
these
already
people were busy
knew-
with TV shows, and they're like,
Yeah.
shit, I've got to go make this movie real quick.
We already been knew that like Jerry O'Connell was hot now, but yeah. Him coming into this is
He's sexy now.
I'm sexy
sexy
now.
now.
I'm sexy now. But yeah, the style,
Oh, and Jamie Kennedy with his whole damn like Shaggy from Mystery Machine Scooby-Doo shit with the sideburns and the like lime green. What?
his wardrobe in Scream 1 was not great either. He did wear lime green a lot in that too.
Yeah,
It's weird. That was like his signature color. Maybe they were doing like a Shaggy kind of riff with him, which is interesting.
I mean, it was just
with
sort
Matthew
of
Lillard going
hipster guy that would go to Buffalo Exchange for these polos.
I don't even think Randy was a hipster. I think Randy was a small town kid who was like, this is how hipsters dress, and I'm going to do my best with what's available to
like
me.
flannel bell bottoms.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. But yeah, I always just look at Jerry O'Connell. I'm just like, is he late for his shift as the night manager at Blockbuster? Like, I don't know about this costume. It's awful.
I mean, at least they kind of dress Neve in something a little cooler.
She looks a little cooler, yeah.
Because I know that you give her styling a hard time in the first movie. That
In
she
one,
looks like
she looks
like someone's aunt.
awful.
But
Yeah.
they make her look cool in this movie. She gets like a fun haircut.
In one, she looks like a young mom on the go, just like, I got kids, but I still got to go to yoga.
I like her suede jacket in this movie.
Yes.
yeah,
I like
she
her
does not
hair.
read 18-year-old, 19-year-old. Like,
not
good
at all.
lord.
Her hair is a lot more like fun and like youthful in this movie, but yeah. I think this, and it's just a thing. It's a byproduct of the times. It's like they couldn't make them too like alternative. They had to make them read.
This is a great
to the whole
segue
country.
into the next scene. Gail
Gail.
Weathers.
Yeah, love it.
And those. I love the highlights.
streaks.
Or the streaks.
Which
the
I
streaks.
bet those
Chunky
streaks probably read crazy in person. If you were standing
they
next
had
to,
to.
because you were standing next to
Yeah.
Courtney like on set,
Yeah,
you'd be like, "Holy shit!"
they're probably like,
God, those streaks.
And that, you guys, that was a thing.
oh yeah.
It still is in some places. People
Not
are like,
that
wow.
black cherry though. That like black cherry color that she has. It's like usually they were a little bit more of a lighter caramel-y kind of.
Wait,
color.
now Monica didn't have that, right? Like that was a
No.
Gail Weathers.
She had
thing.
that haircut.
She had the
but
haircut.
She didn't have the
Yep.
streaks.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Gail Weathers was always. I don't know. They just made her like experimental with
Gail
her
Weathers
hair.
was always a little tacky.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Yeah,
she had
tacky,
the. She
for
also
sure.
had that crazy like lime
it, the
green.
lime green.
God, they love that color.
Yeah.
In this franchise, but she had that like a Jackie O weird green thing that she was wearing when she was a
Yeah.
small time reporter, and then this one, the clothes have gotten tighter.
Oh yes.
She's looking great.
Sleeveless, sleeves gone.
She got calf implants.
She got. Meanwhile, Courtney Cox is so thin. Where were the
Yeah.
implants?
I was looking. Yeah, and they're not.
Where were they?
Where?
Just yeah.
Imperceptible.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
just a funny.
I
random thing.
love Courtney's bitchy Gail, and I think that she does bitchy Gail really well in this movie.
really well. Yeah. Like you were saying today, like would Brooke Shields have worked?
Yeah.
Apparently, Brooke was pretty close. I don't know. Yeah.
And I don't think that Brooke's chemistry with David.
We don't know.
We don't know if we
There's an alternate universe.
like
yeah.
in this weird alternate universe casting with Brooke Shields as Gail Weathers. But I think that there's just something about Courtney and David that are just so good together.
Yeah.
too.
Oh, okay. So in this next, then we've got the return of Dewey, which just hit me like a ton of bricks,
Yeah.
especially after spending so much time with these characters in the interim.
Yeah.
The fact that he shows up to see his, surrogate sister,
Yeah.
and they say that he's our surrogate big brother.
Yeah.
That he just shows up out of nowhere. Even as murders are happening, it's not a red herring. You're
Yeah.
like, no, he is here to protect
Yeah.
Sidney.
Well, I mean, let's not forget this. They killed his sister, his youngest
sister.
sister. I mean, she treated him like shit, but
Best
that was
friend of his sister.
and that and Sidney was Tatum's best friend. So he's connected to this. He's in this.
Yeah.
And so and his relationship with Gail is always really satisfying. Just the way
This is where it really happens.
Their back
this
and
is where
forth
they,
is really charming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they hadn't started dating until the second movie. I mean, the second
They
movie
made out,
had only come out.
Yeah.
I mean, they had.
Well, yeah, they were.
I mean, they had shot both of these movies in less than a year and a half.
Yeah, she's like, we're going to be working together for the next 2 months. You just want to we'll just date while we're at it. Yeah, we have to play people who are already dating anyways. The relationship. This is something I really had to think about in the grander scheme because there's a lot. Let's be real. There's a lot of intimate partner violence in this franchise, but there is something about the bourgeoning love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of Dewey and Gale that is so pure that you do not really get in the horror genre.
Yeah, true.
Usually it's like this is someone you cannot trust. But these two, like they get to have it.
Yeah.
And that moment at the end when you find out Dewey's alive, it's just Gale is so happy, you're so happy that they're gonna get to be together. It makes that happier moment all that much better.
Yeah, totally. We also get Gale's new camera guy.
Yeah.
He's so handsome.
What's his
I
name?
really wish he had Joel.
I forget it. Yeah, Joel.
Did the actor that played Joel go on to do anything?
Yeah, I think he's just a character actor, comedic actor, kind of a guy.
Yeah.
I think in the commentary, I think Wes or one of them was saying that he came from improv or comedy or something.
That tracks.
Yeah, he's very charming.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't kill him. He's too, he's too cute.
We finally get Lev Shriver saying lines.
Yes.
They just cast him
Does he not
as
speak in
they
the first
cast
movie?
him as B-roll.
Yeah, we see him in the back of a police car.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. That's
and it was probably just one of those things that Lev was pretty unknown at the
yeah.
time, so he would be the type of actor that would just be just on camera for a sec, but maybe just like casting told him, chances are we might be calling you back in 6 more months, so just stay tuned.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, and Cotton is unhinged.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I mean, mind you, he's been through some stuff, right? He was fucking an older married woman. She's like, oh my God. I mean, that's another thing. We'll get into this about Sidney's mom, but yeah, he's having an affair with this older woman. She's like, oh, my daughter's in the other room. Keep it down. She's covering his mouth when he's coming, and he then gets accused of killing her by the daughter. Gets put in jail. And Sidney has to testify against him. This is a whole thing.
Yeah.
He gets put in jail for a year. Wrongly accused.
Yeah.
And for everything that is wrong and immoral about Gale Weathers, she's the one who gets him off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who's trying to say that he was wrongly convicted the whole time, beating that drum.
Yeah.
So so Guy's been through some stuff too. But wow, is he all over the place?
But he's also ready for his press tour.
Fame will be vindication
of getting
for what
out
he's
of
been
prison.
through. Yeah, all of that'll be worth it.
Because that's the thing. It's we meant to feel not feel sorry for him, but feel okay, he's had this redemption. He didn't do it. He's wrongly accused. But then, as we see more and more of him throughout the movie, like you said, unhinged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no wonder that person got accused of murder, right?
Yeah. So
just having these big outbursts, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
It's that's what an innocent person says. Sure.
Yeah. So that's another big red herring that you're okay, maybe it's Cotton this time. Maybe it's his revenge for being in jail for a year or whatever. But yeah, we get they're kind of again a little Scooby-Doo-ish kind of a breakdown of the names of all the victims.
I think these are the scenes that were shot at UCLA.
Oh,
okay.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the clip that we started the episode on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know who we haven't even mentioned yet? I mean, we kind of mentioned her a little bit, but
Debbie Salt.
Aunt Jackie. So, I mean, this would have been the first big role that she got.
In a movie.
After Roseanne ended.
Because
Roseanne ended in probably 96, 97.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Laurie Metcalf, this, so many lesbian characters. Right. So many lesbian characters. Right. I mean, if we're talking about movies that made us gay, Laurie Metcalf is someone who made a lot of people lesbian, as she should.
I would think so. Yeah.
Also, what a get.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about this franchise...
I think she's a lot of fun in this role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. She's unhinged, just like Liev Schreiber. The bug eyes.
Yeah.
Just having the time of her life. And something I've loved about this franchise is the acting is really great. throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's, I mean, the Heather Graham of it is probably us trying to say, yeah, this should be stupid. But no,
Yeah,
she's great.
Lori's doing some good work here. Yeah.
I distinctly remember being very surprised by her being the killer.
Yeah.
The
Because
Mickey
I
part
feel
of
like
it.
she's in just enough of the movie that you remember her, but you also forget about her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you never think. She is just there to bug Gail.
Yeah.
when she like is when the big reveal happens and she's like, her and Gail are revealed when she's like pointing the gun at Gail.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh.
It's also the best dress she is.
Yeah.
That white
The
pantsuit.
white suit. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Because, on the one hand, you're thinking, well, why did they go out of their way to get somebody this good if she's just going to be there to bug the shit out of Gail?
Yeah, we know she's a good comedic actress. We know she's a
reporter.
She's so good doing just that you're like, okay, maybe she could just be there for this little bit of comic relief.
I distinctly remember being, her walking out. I remember Gail. And you're like, wait, it was Gail? And then you're like, it's the reporter. What?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, then we get our next kill, which is our poor baby's SMG.
SMG. So, I mean, Sarah would have just been finishing up season 1 of Buffy.
Yeah.
Probably had made I Know What You Did Last Summer very shortly before this.
Yeah.
I think that probably Sarah's availability was probably like, you got me for a week and a half.
Yeah, they probably filmed that one scene in the morning, and then they had like maybe 1 or 2 nights at best doing the rest of it. But it was a weekend.
I mean,
They had a weekend.
Sarah had a big Final Girl 97 because her scenes in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Well, not Final
Well,
Girl,
no,
because she
not
didn't make
really.
it.
I mean, I guess.
and maybe that was the duet. It's like Buffy cannot die.
Scream-
She absolutely will not. So she's going to get
so
murdered.
we shouldn't say Final Girl, I guess.
She had a Scream Queen moment.
Scream
Yeah.
Queen moment.
Scream
of
Queen moment, sure.
97. Her scenes of I Know What You Did Last Summer with the fisherman when she's running away from him is some of my favorite of the movie.
Yeah.
Though that's haunting because you don't see. You're like, she is not going to die. There's no way she. I mean, in that movie, I didn't think it. In this one, we knew it was coming. It was
Sarah said that
telegraphed
she
heavy in the
signed
trailer.
on to this movie without seeing anything of just the wild success of Scream, that she would have been crazy not to do a movie like this.
Yeah.
Even if it is just a small role.
Yeah, I remember being really mad about her death because she's a cool character. Like, she's holding her own with these really nerdy ass boys. Sure. We see her again. She's like, so she's a sober sister. She's taking care of her little community. She's watching Nosferatu. She's got some eclectic ass taste.
Right? I mean, just like a Saturday night primetime showing of Nosferatu.
And she's trying to deal with this
cable.
fucker, Ted. She's like, oh, it's Ted.
Damn it,
He
Ted.
sounds
Here's
loaded.
Ted. It sounds loaded.
Did you know who the voice of her friend over the phone is?
Who?
It's Selma Blair.
Oh, my gosh. That's cute.
And they said on the commentary, apparently Selma Blair worked with Kevin Williamson when they did a director's screen test when they were considering just having Kevin direct the movie, that he directed like a little scene. I believe it was the bathroom scene, and Selma was Sidney.
Oh,
And it was just sort of a little camera test for directing.
Yeah.
So she sort of had a connection with Kevin Williamson.
We also see Marisol Nichols in this scene. You may remember her
Yeah.
as Audrey from Vegas Vacation.
Is she third Audrey or fourth Audrey?
It was Vegas Vacation, so that would be fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fourth.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm forgetting Juliette Lewis.
Christmas Vacation, yeah. Just a little quick cameo.
Now, in this moment, we find out this is when we know we have 2 killers. Because this is where she's on the phone with someone, and
you
the killer
can see him in the
sneaks
background.
Oh,
And
sure,
I don't
sure.
think that Ghostface is holding his arm up.
No, and we see
Tuck
Ghostface
in the
move
phone.
as she's talking to someone. So
Okay.
I remember that. I was like, okay,
There's
there are
two.
two. There are
Okay.
two.
Oh, all right. That's interesting.
Pete was noting that what Sarah is wearing was very what.
It's what girls would wear to work at the mall, not to go to the mall.
I got it.
If
yeah.
you had a job at, like Wet Seal or like the Brass Plum or whatever, you would wear those slacks and like that chunky
those
heel.
chunky heels,
Yeah. But to like lounge on the couch,
Sure.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll change into something more comfortable. Those pants look a little binding, a little constricting.
It's so she
And
mentioned
her like sweater set, pink sweater set.
She mentions that she's the sober sister who's like the designated driver. I like to think that Omega Beta Zeta has like in college, we used to call them the drunk bus, of like a bus that would like pick up people. I like to think of Sarah behind the wheel of this bus.
She's got like a safari van that she just like drives up and down, like picking people up.
Like pile
Get
on
in,
in.
bitch. We're going home.
Shut
Come
the
on.
hell up back there. Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, yeah, we never see what exactly she's supposed to do as the drunk sister or the sober sister. Go pick them up, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Let them in.
I
if
mean,
they
I
lost
guess
their
for
keys. I don't know.
off-campus
Provide
partying.
emotional support.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you're drunk? That's too bad.
Yeah.
I kind of had a similar job when I was in college, and a lot of it was me just making sure that people were hydrated, that if need be, you position them just right with the trash can right there.
Sure. So they can,
It's not glamorous
not
work.
choke on their own.
It's not glamorous work, but look, the tuition, the room and board at Windsor College, the tuition probably through the roof.
Right. I mean, when you're in dorm rooms as big as Sydney and Hallie's. I would like to talk a little bit about the scene from Stab that we get to see with Nancy O'Dell.
Oh, I love these. Also, Nancy O'Dell in 3 of these movies. Nancy O'Dell is in Scream 2. She's in Scream 3. She has like another news report scene where she's reporting on Cotton Weary's death, and she's also in Scream 4.
Well, you better work, Nancy
I know.
O'Dell. And she's playing Nancy O'Dell all this time, right? She's not playing like...
So
random
when we
youth
went to go see Scream 2 and Scream at Hollywood Forever this past year, it was our first movie back to Cinespia. We hadn't been there all throughout 2020. And we saw the double feature, and Tori Spelling introduced Scream 2.
Oh, cute.
And when they were introing her, I wasn't there, but I could hear it. And our friend Ashley from Keep It Weird was like, it's Tori Spelling. Of just like the little hints that this person's in the movie, they play themselves.
Yeah,
It's Tori Spelling.
Yeah.
It's Tori.
And she came out and Tori was like, she was so happy to be there.
Yeah.
She was like...
You could tell that this movie, even for this throwaway role, and there's a joke about her in the first movie, you could tell
Yes,
that
which is lovely.
it means a lot to her.
Yeah. She brought her 2 older kids to go to see it, that night. So it was really fun.
She told this
It was
funny
cute.
story that she did read for Sidney.
Oh.
And she was fully aware of the shady line, but because Tori just like, I mean, she's
She'll
a
read for
professional and
whatever the
she'll
hell
read for anything
put in front of her.
that
Yeah.
she read for Sidney.
That's funny.
Yep.
Well, there's another meta moment at the beginning of that SMG scene where she's talking to someone about the most recent episode of Party of 5,
Oh, really?
where she's like, oh, Bailey cheated on Sarah.
Oh. That's funny.
That
I
was
didn't
a little
even
heavy.
notice
I was like,
that.
oh, that's funny. 'Cause
Okay.
there's okay.
All right,
So Neve
all right.
Campbell exists in that universe.
She looks a lot like Sidney.
Yeah, looks a lot. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, so that's where we see. And I feel like Luke Wilson is playing it a little bit more like, duh. And I think Tori is playing it a little bit more subtle. Like, she's playing it
Luke
like
is kind of
parody.
playing SNL sketch.
Yeah.
Of that
He's
scene of the
playing it
movie.
a little
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried Movie.
Stupid.
Yeah. And, I mean, Tori's also playing it elevated, She's,
Oh yeah, it's melodramatic.
yeah, she's playing a melodramatic.
Which is cute
lifetime.
because that's not
Yeah.
the tone of these movies.
Yeah.
I've been going through a lot lately, really. And my mom...
Sid, I think you need to just deal with that and move on. I mean, when my mom left my dad, I accepted it. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Moms leave.
Yeah, your mom left town. She's not buried in a cemetery somewhere. My mom's dead and she's never coming back. Ever.
I mean, she's just playing Donna Martin, got a role in
Yeah.
Scream.
Yeah. And also, I was saying, too, that when she's sitting interviewing with Nancy O'Dell, what I love is that she's got brown hair, which is what we're not used to seeing on Tori. And to me, it's almost like a very like dragged up version of like Sidney or a Neve Campbell haircut.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
She's like, I'm going to be playing Sidney Prescott or Sidney. What the hell's her last name?
Prescott. Yeah.
Prescott.
Yeah, Sidney Prescott.
I always want to say Sidney Campbell.
She's like, I tried to get an interview with her, but she's very mysterious.
Yeah.
And- I mean, she turned down 60 Minutes in 2020 and
Dateline.
Dateline. Yeah.
Yeah, Primetime Live. Primetime Live. Diane Sawyer.
Hosted by Diane Sawyer. We were trying to remember that of who hosted Primetime Live.
Yeah.
And it was Diane Sawyer.
Yeah.
Do you remember for the marketing, they heavily used both Tori and Heather They were all on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a bloody bathroom, and I think that.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
I think all of the girls were.
Yeah, Jada's
were
in
on that
it.
cover.
Yeah.
Sarah's in
SMG's
it.
in it. Yeah.
Kind of surprised that
That was
Sarah
fun.
didn't make the Sarah didn't make the poster.
Poster, yeah.
Maybe like they would have had to add one more guy to it, and I mean, I guess that
It's a lot of people.
Sure. Well, it's a lot of white people.
there's just a lot of people on the poster.
A lot of white people.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've seen 2 versions of the poster where there's like Liev Schreiber and one with Jerry O'Connell.
Okay.
And they've been like, depending on what market they got, it's like, do you want?
I mean, it was that notorious Dimension lineup. It's the Dimension lineup of you have all of your beautiful actors in like a triangle.
You have 5 of them. Yep.
They did it for Scream. They did it for The Faculty. They sort of did it for Halloween H2O, but they kind of did them in like a zigzag. So yeah, it was just movie marketing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Did they do it in Phantoms?
Phantoms, yes.
Ben Affleck's Phantoms, yeah.
Ben Affleck,
They did it. They did it for Phantoms, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was like, this is how you market to teenagers.
Yeah.
This is exactly what teenagers
Just
want. Their aesthetic.
that lazy Miramax copy and paste Photoshop job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I heard in a recent interview about Scream 2020, the legacy characters are talking to Drew Barrymore, and they were on her show, and she said, I didn't meet all of you until the photo shoot
for the poster. Yeah.
The poster. Yeah, because she wouldn't have had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Drew fully did all of her scenes by herself, probably. She's
Yeah.
not with any principal actors of the movie. Mm-hmm.
One of my other favorite / hated scenes of this movie.
You have many.
I have many. Is Jerry O'Connell's song.
So apparently they auditioned this character with the song.
You had to
So
sing
it was
a
something
cappella.
that they had in mind very early on in casting.
Yeah.
And it's just like the age of these characters, like why?
And I also I know it's a movie, but I cannot imagine an instance in real life where people would get behind that. Everyone would just be like, "Shut up!"
Everybody
I mean,
in that
Rebecca
cafeteria,
Gayheart
question mark?
Rebecca Gayheart and Portia de Rossi are fully like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
In that scene. So I feel like I'm with those two gals.
Well, the other thing is that, when he starts to do it, freaky Tarantino film student, poor man's Josh Duhamel, Timothy Oliphant, sorry, Moran, says, Tom Cruise, Top Gun, 1986. Like, it's that very, we are film people,
Sure.
and this is how we talk about movies.
Movies
And they do
and
that a
life,
lot
yeah.
in Scream, because they're, referencing movies so much. It's, that shit gets under my skin. I'm just like, all right, whatever, that's stupid. But it's Jerry O'Connell doing it. He's not a film student.
Yeah.
It's not Randy or Timothy Oliphant doing
Well, but
it.
isn't
It's Jerry O'Connell
Mickey's
getting up and
Mickey's is supposed to be his best friend, so he was like, "Why don't you do this
this
big show of
gesture
love?
or whatever?"
Because your
big-
girlfriend does not
His
trust
big
you."
gesture to give her his Greek letters. Right.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean that scene. So let's talk about that. So the scene right after SMG's death,
Yeah.
when we're in the sorority house, just the serendipity of Sid being the only person left, picking up that phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
if I'm in
Why are you
if I'm
answering
at a
that phone?
house party, I don't care if I'm Sidney Prescott and I have like a sorted past with answering phones. I'm not answering someone's house phone at a party.
Yeah. Also, something weird, like, Scream 1 and Scream 2 have this, where there's that scene of Sidney being attacked but not getting killed.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that like...
Well, that's Scott's big thing.
What if they just killed her?
They just killed her?
Yeah, because if they just killed her, then we
What's-
don't get the rest.
what's the
Sidney
plan?
would never
What's
know
the point?
that Debbie Salt, Billy's
Yeah.
mother, was behind all of this.
Yeah,
She would
like,
never know.
is the point to just terrorize her?
Yeah.
It's kind of like my thing with the first. I get that it's a movie script, so we shouldn't think too
Yeah,
hard on it.
yeah, yeah.
But I always think like, what if they did just murder Sidney?
Because
The
then
very
first
first
20
time
minutes
in,
of
the,
this
in the
movie.
house when she took a nap. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the idea was in the first movie that they were going to knock her out and tie her up,
And then
and
do the
then
big reveal.
all of this,
Yeah.
and then kill her.
Yeah. I'm not sure what this was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I will say, again, with the Jerry O'Connell of it all, like having him be sort of number one suspect, when he gets his arm cut, you're like,
don't
did he
see
do
it
that?
on. You don't see it on camera. Yep.
But we saw what Stu and Billy stabbed each other in the first movie, so we know that like the killers are not above like
Self-mutilation, if that's what it takes to throw him off.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that was kind of like why it wasn't on screen.
Yeah.
To show us like, well, we.
But he had
know.
after that he had to do a big song and dance. He had a big
And
song
also,
dance
there's
to
just sort of
In
a
his worst
character.
costume.
There's also sort of a character note with Mickey. Poor man's Josh Duhamel. I love Timothy.
I know,
mean,
you
I should
love
say
Timothy.
that.
Since then, Timothy Oliphant
Yeah,
has
he's had a huge career.
he and Liev Schreiber.
Do you know he's
great
from?
now.
Is he from like a Vanderbilt? He's from
Timothy
like
Oliphant?
he's
Oh,
from
no
like,
shit, really?
He's from like old money. I don't think it's Vanderbilt, but he's like he's from like a very very rich family. But also there's a character note about Mickey that he's always accusing other people.
Other people, yes.
So Mickey
In the hospital, yeah.
Mickey kind of knows to point the blame to other people around Sidney. So she's maybe not thinking about him.
This is one. Yeah, Mickey is telegraphed as the killer very early.
Mickey is very like Iago. If you're gonna
Sure.
do like a Shakespeare,
He's got
reading of this movie.
Yeah, it's like you're you know it's coming. It's very clear with the when Gail and Dewey are reviewing the footage and they're like, "Wait, who shot this?" It's like maybe it's the guy who's got a camcorder in his hand all the time, right?
I did
everything.
say that Debbie Salt. It would be fun if she did the opening murders, but I guess that you do see the.
She was in the getaway car.
You do see the
and
camera.
he
Oh,
was-
that's true.
I'm thinking,
He could have just like picked her up at the end.
yeah.
He was like riding around the block.
Were they fucking?
Probably.
I wonder. Yeah, maybe. I'm sure. Yeah, you know how psycho killers are. All my serial killer friends are fucking.
At what point in this is Scott Foley sitting somewhere pulling all the strings?
Oh my God, that's the other thing about this batshit crazy. These batshit crazy movies.
That's
is
for another
number
episode.
3 just goes completely off the rails, and you're like, oh, by the way, Sidney has a
half brother
that is pulling the strings of all of this, and it's convenient how that's never brought up in 4 or 5.
Yeah, because then
Yeah.
It's just they're like, what have we done?
What have we done?
What have we done? So then we get this is my least favorite death, Randy.
Randy, I mean, I think that you kind of had to. I think you had to get rid of one of your principal actors.
Yeah, no, you had to.
Yeah, and you also have to raise the stakes more.
But I mean, he was a fan favorite. The reason I read the reason that they had that little scene with him and with his sister in Scream 3 was because people were so pissed.
Yeah.
But they were like, we've got to, in some capacity, get him back.
Okay.
He's annoying, but he's lovable.
With the great Heather Matarazzo in Scream 3.
Yeah. And then just the pathos of, Sidney and Dewey having that chat about, like, should I call his mom?
Yeah.
I already made that
And
call.
also
You're like,
kind of like those moments of these movies where you really bring in the reality that someone's died.
Yeah.
someone they really cared about.
Someone they really care about die, which you don't really see a lot in movies like Nightmare on Elm Street or like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit Nightmare, but yeah.
There's
But at that
funerals
moment,
and
they're
everything.
like, that's when they decide. I mean, Sid already has her protection, but that's the point where we're like, we're getting you out of here.
Yes. Yeah.
You were leaving. We're doing a lockdown on campus.
The
Your best
protection
friend is
are
dead.
not doing the best job.
No, not really.
The one-
I mean, they almost let fucking Cotton Weary, like,
That's what I'm saying.
assault her,
Stand
yeah.
right here in this doorway.
But one of them is a single gay Gemini.
True.
So how can you be so sure?
The gay one is the one that gets run over? No.
He's the one who gets the pole through his head. Isn't he?
No, he's the one that doesn't get the pull through his face.
Oh, no.
So what happens to the first guy?
I was going to say it's very
I think
metaphorical.
he just like kills him and pulls him
Pole
yanks him out of
stuffer.
the car.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
I know
as fun.
that
I
the
think he
other
stabs
guy
him and yanks
that
him out of
ends
the
up
car
on the
and then-
windshield,
yeah.
he was a stuntman. He was a
That's
big
the guy that's not the gay
He
one.
was the Ghostface stuntman in the first.
Oh,
or
right.
no, I don't know if it was
Right.
Ghostface or Skeet's stunt double.
Okay.
I can't remember.
And these scenes that we're talking about where they're in the backseat of the police car.
Oh, the police car scene.
So let's talk about that happening at the same time as the Gail Dewey stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a sequence. I mean, that's like 15, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
just like
Gail and Dewey are in the AV building.
There's a little bit of
like soundproof rooms and
there's a little bit of weird just the fact that Ghostface can get this. This again, you know it's got to be two people.
Yeah.
Because Ghostface is getting from A to B real fast,
real quick.
Yeah. Real fast.
As you're watching,
but
sometimes you don't think
it's
about
set
it,
up
right,
in the universe that there probably is two killers, and they've commented on it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
little location shooting fact: did you know that the cop car scenes are shot on Green Street, which is a mere mile and a half from us? It's shot on Green Street. I remember when I first found that out when I was living here; it blew my mind.
It's all around the Paseo, Colorado,
and they shoot the other way on the one way.
Yeah, the car turns around. You can see when at some point when they're trying to elude Ghostface, they flip a U-E, and so they're pointing in the wrong direction.
Even talking about this is it's all so intense.
Yeah, the cop car scene's pretty successful.
It's crazy.
Not even just the pole through the head, which is so gruesome.
Oof.
That you're like, wow, they're really.
I love when Hallie goes right through his eye.
Right through his eye, yeah. You're like, ooh. And then the crawling over him. Oh, let's talk about sound design. So I really notice it in this sequence because it's happening in two places at once. But first of all, the tension of when she bops the steering wheel.
Yes. Yeah.
You're like, oh my god! That was when I really. Oh, and dogs. A lot of dogs bark in this franchise at really inopportune moments. It's just when you're like, oh gosh, is there a killer around? And then you hear the Rottweiler across the street. It's but sound design factors heavily, which then leads into the tension of Gail trying to get away from the killer in the sound editing room. That cat and mouse of her just barely getting a couple feet ahead and then having to hide. Whoa.
Door doesn't have a lock on it. The
fact that Dewey is getting ripped apart behind her, she has no idea. She has no idea until he gets on the mic.
It seems like this when I read about the movie being thrown together and not really have a shooting script. I think they did a pretty good job with a lot of these kind of
these big set pieces in the middle.
I think are pretty well done,
and especially things where there are two pretty wild, kind of action sequences happening in different locations, and they're editing it together, and it works really. It works really organically. It feels it feels well done.
And just poor the acting in this scene. So poor Dewey. just ripped, literally just stab.
I think
the fact that he survives
4 times, and that's
it's very bloody. He looks in so much pain.
Yeah.
A la Jada earlier. A lot of times people just get killed and it's they, poor Elise Neal when she dies, poor Hallie. She just gets stabbed real quick and tossed.
And dies. Yeah.
It's she just dies instantly, which is great. Not Dewey.
No.
Dewey is going to be in slow pain. Gail is just absolutely devastated, as she should be.
Well, that's the thing, too. A lot of times in movies, people will get stabbed once. And I'm sure you can very easily die from a stab wound.
Yeah.
One single stab wound.
And you're in tremendous pain, I assume?
Yeah. But also, you could survive multiple stab wounds, too. And you don't
God knows I do.
immediately drop dead from being stabbed, in the back or whatever. It's it doesn't always happen that way. So for somebody, Dewey gets stabbed multiple times. And I think this franchise has kind of become known for, the very final scenes with the final girl and the camera kind of panning away and somebody that you thought was dead being loaded into an ambulance. And and the whole audience is
the amount of people in these movies that get shot, and then
are fine.
Then are fine. Gail fully walking around at
shot.
the end of this movie. It just bounced off
her rib. How does she know that?
What are her ribs made of?
She says it, and then the paramedics say it as they're
because she's walking around
bandaging her up.
Yep.
Yeah, they say the same thing.
She's ready to go on camera.
It just bounced off your ribs, and she's like, walks away.
It's remarkable, but that's so sad, especially at that's when they finally start to get it on. Ghostface is such a cock blocker. Yeah,
totally.
And honestly, you're so happy for them because aren't they just the oddest couple?
But
there's no reason
Yeah.
they should work. But she finds him so charming.
I mean, just
Yeah.
kind of Courtney and David's story in real life too.
oh god,
And I like the Courtney and David's relationship that I really like celebrity couples, kind of like Bruce and Demi, of that when they separate, you can tell that they still keep in contact with each other.
Yeah.
That they're still
friends.
very close.
yeah. They're friends. You got that on the press tour.
They're setting a they're setting a good
Yeah.
example for like divorced
For the kids.
for like divorced couples.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we lose Hallie on this empty street.
I don't know
Where are the
how
cars?
he makes it halfway down the street after exiting the car.
Because she runs back to campus. He's running after her, I guess, the whole time.
Yeah.
This is Mickey for sure.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Debbie
I
Salt.
can definitely
he's got the,
see
like, he's all
Sidney
banged up from the car.
of just like I have to take off that fucking mask.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have done it immediately when I exited the car.
Well, the other thing is that the cop that gets impaled has a gun in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on the hood of the
yeah,
car.
yeah.
So Sidney, being Sidney, needed to just grab the gun, shoot him in the head,
Yeah.
then take the mask off. Mm-hmm. Then all will be well. Movie over. Well, we still got to go get Debbie Salt.
Yeah, the Debbie Salt of it all.
But, you know.
So the last act of this movie, very fitting, is on a theatrical stage.
There they go again.
I don't know why Sidney is not running to the nearest police station or campus security, because of course you're going to go to the campus theater to go get help.
This is once again just the coincidences.
She knows
of
her way
these
around the theater.
universe.
She wants to be somewhere that's her turf.
Well, she thinks that
Maybe if I'm surrounded
made
by
that
people.
up.
she's saying David Warner's name
True. Yeah, what's he going to do?
because she thinks he's there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they like set up that
At
like
least she knows somebody.
Oh, have we mentioned that
she's pretty
exchange?
close.
That just so like theaterly actor thing where he's like, "You've got to fight. You're a fighter.
Yeah.
you're a fighter.
I don't know if I'm strong enough." All that shit.
Love it. Love it.
I mean, David Warner sells.
Oh, it's just so heavy-handed. Okay. Also, so in that one sequence where she's on stage, is she hallucinating or is that actually?
I don't know.
I think it works either way.
Yeah.
And I think that it's sort of
Ghostface.
well, and I
there.
think that it's cut either way too. Also, I found out Danny Elfman wrote that portion of the score.
Oh,
So they
these
like
movies really
they
these movies
contracted
are
that
great score.
out.
Yeah.
I also found out, which I'd heard before, but Dewey's theme of like on the guitar, that is Hans Zimmer. That was a portion
How
of his score
eclectic.
from Broken Arrow that was cut, and they put it in as a temp for a test audience, and it did really well. So they just decided to keep it
to buy it.
from Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll say as a entrance into the end game, the stakes of that, the what's happening in the theater, the music, the Agamemnon Cassandra of it all.
Yeah.
It's like she's the doomed one. She foresees Helen being stolen from Troy and the fall thereof.
I mean, not subtle.
no,
Not subtle in
not
its
in the
themes.
least.
And all the masks that they're wearing and all that, the grotesque faces and everything. Yeah. It's a little on the nose, but hey.
Yeah,
It's
no,
so
it's
fun.
fine. And she
It's fun.
runs into the theater hoping to find, some salvation.
All I have to say is that squib on Jerry O'Connell's bare chest,
Yeah.
it's rough.
I think about that a lot.
Oof. I don't like it. And the way she just immediately puts her hands on it, you're just like, oh my God, Sidney.
That one's
What are they putting this
Yeah,
poor girl through?
So we were noting that whole thing where Jerry O'Connell gets like taken by his sorority brothers and hung up there. We were just like, that would be some like headline,
some hazing
national
shit. Yeah.
news on the cover of People that like all of these kids are going to get canceled now.
This frat is closed, boarded up, windows.
He's like 30 feet up in the air.
Yeah. If
Like,
that thing
he's
fell
been
with him
attacked,
on
yeah.
it, he does ultimately get shot in the chest while tied to this thing.
right chest.
Are those boys responsible because they left him tied there?
Yeah. They're the reason that he's there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing was, it's like he gave his letters away and you're not supposed to and all that. I mean, realistically, they just would have beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, the stakes aren't quite that high. Quite that. They don't have to set him up to be
His
murdered.
brothers would have just beat the hell out of him and then just been like,
Yeah.
go get your letters back.
But the misdirect, the fact that, Mickey reveals himself and then
Yes.
says that Derek's in on it and you're like,
Yeah,
oh my God, he is.
yeah.
Oh my God, he is.
Yep.
And she doesn't, and not until does he get shot that you're like,
oh, maybe he wasn't.
No, she should have trusted him.
Yeah.
Poor Sidney.
Poor Sidney.
Just such bad luck with men. You know?
Sidney's wearing his letters in 3.
Oh yeah,
Is she?
all throughout.
Oh.
She like hits Roman with him, right? Isn't it like a?
Oh, is that it? You're
so.
right. Yeah,
It serves as a weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Those are her because it's long. It's the way that
So we get the first
about that?
reveal with Timothy, and I do like the moment with Sidney of there's just one last thing that you're forgetting about Billy. I fucking killed him. I think it's such an awesome moment.
Yeah.
Where she like hits him in the face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At a girl.
Yeah.
But I remember, in watching this, and every time I watch it since the reveal of Mickey, you're like, yeah, duh.
But the real gag is
The real gag
Lori
is
Metcalf.
Yeah.
salt.
when he brings out. And I just remember being so emotionally charged in that moment when you think it's Gail.
Throws Gail out.
Yeah.
You're like, damn it.
And she shakes her head like no. And you're oh my god. And then
Me, bitch.
yeah, because then it's like just the emotions of that scene because this kooky ass bitch that you've known throughout steps out. Who the fuck is she? And then Mrs. Loomis.
Yeah, Loomis. Yeah,
Whoa.
gagged.
gag.
Yeah. So Sidney and Billy really have some fucked up moms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
It's part of
It
the
happens.
part of the connection. He's like, is your mom kind of? Yeah. So is mine.
Yeah. So I mean, we need to start tying this all up pretty soon. But how it kind of, Dewey's alive. Gail,
Dewey lives. Gail
Dewey
lives.
Great. Gail just had the bullet just went right through her.
Cotton lives,
Yep.
and he's gonna get his giants. Yeah, consider it done.
What is the name of his talk show?
100%
100% Cotton.
100%
Yep.
Cotton. He's gonna get at least a season or two out of 100%
Yeah.
Cotton.
Oh god, and he looks so good in 3, and
Yeah?
in his like cable net little.
Oh yeah.
Shit, you're like, he's on TV. Cotton Weir is doing just fine.
Liev Schreiber can get it. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
god. Poor Randy, sad, but it's like we do get those moments with Heather in the next movie. But
So, do we want to talk a little bit about the new Scream? We can also say if you have not seen the new Scream, you
Skip
can
ahead. Yeah,
skip
a couple
ahead
minutes.
a couple minutes.
Okay, but one thing
We're
really
just gonna
quick
wrap it
before
up,
we close
so,
this out
yeah.
and talking about script changes. So, do you know what the original ending of this was?
no,
There were.
tell us what you got.
This is what I've been told. This is what the internet is incredibly reliable.
What
as
your
you know.
friend Nev told you.
Yeah, firsthand.
Over
Close
drinks.
personal friend Neve Campbell.
I called her up right before
Yep.
this, and she's like, "I'm busy with the press tour, but always time for you, Andy." There were 4 killers,
Oh my goodness,
which
Too
is
much.
it's
Good
just
Lord.
too much.
Far
It was
too
going to
Who were
be
the other 2?
Hallie and Derek.
What?
Oh, that's too much.
In addition,
Just too much.
So it's
Hallie. Why Hallie?
so it's basically going to be just like Sidney can't trust anyone. Her best friend
she
and
just
roommate, her
surrounds
boyfriend, his
herself
best
with
friend.
psychopaths.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
and it was because they were like, we were going to have double the killers because it's a sequel. Everything has to be bigger.
Yeah,
And I know that
No,
the
too
production
much.
of this movie, that there were versions of the script that did leak online, too.
Yeah,
And
that was the one.
Maybe that was
leaked, and
it.
They were like, So then they paired back. I think that the dummy script was Derek Hallie.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
And then, they had to very quickly, like poor Elise Neal in all the, I think she's the one who got the really short end of the stick on this one is that like, I think she was cast with the intention that like, you're going to end up being the killer.
Well, you know,
Sure,
you know
yeah.
who they did that with in 3 was Emily Mortimer.
Oh,
That
yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
that she was cast and she had been shooting the movie
With the intention
of her being the killer.
Oh, fuck.
And when you revisit that movie, you can really tell.
She's a little
playing
squirrely.
creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah.
And, like Emily Mortimer was Scott Foley's like girlfriend, and she was like just sort of trying to become this huge actress, so she gets the role of Sidney, and this was going to sort of propel her career to like the next level, which would have been interesting. It probably would have worked a little better with what they ended up getting in Scream 3.
Yeah, but we have in all 5 movies, as we transition into talking about the newest one, in all 5 movies, we've got our one killer who has a connection to the past.
So if you have not If you've not seen Scream 2022, and
we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that they're gone. Yeah, I mean, so we've got two killers in the newest Scream, and can't call it Scream 5, but that's what it is. And we've got someone with a connection to the past, and we've got someone who's a weird movie fan. And in 3, I would say we get them in the same person.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, that is we get that with Debbie Salt, and we get that with Mickey, and then we get that in this new one with, oh my gosh, did I just lie? Well, no, because both of them are just weird-ass movie fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess our connection...
They met in the forums or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. So
so they're not really that...
I only just saw it last week.
The real villain of the new one is Toxic Fandom, Andy.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the real villain.
That's the one that takes us down.
So kind of our nutshell review. I enjoyed the new Scream. I think it's fun. Solid 3-star movie. But honestly, it is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
which isn't a bad thing.
No, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Who the killers turned out to be was just like, that's how they always are. They're kind of not insignificant, but like inconsequential. Like it doesn't matter. Like if it was Gale, if it was Dewey, it would be like, whoa, holy shit, they went there.
I'm kind of surprised
it was
that
just like, oh, these two,
they
right,
didn't
whatever.
end up doing that in this movie,
Yeah.
or at least sort of really ramping up that it could be
because
Dewey.
that's how they played it all off of it's always somebody you know and all that stuff. But the fact that it was just like, it's them, it's like, okay, that's how Scream usually works out.
Yeah.
It's always new actors that we've never heard of before and we'll never hear of again, and work.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was effective. It was fun.
We definitely want to see it again.
We wanted to see that guy's butt when he took a shower, but they didn't show it.
The little twink.
Yeah, that so teeny.
Kid from Goosebumps.
Yeah. But
I think that scene with him, I forget his name, and also Marley Sheldon is the most effective scenes of the entire movie.
Yeah, I was
tense.
Yeah,
Very
tense. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, they have a great relationship as mother and son.
Yeah.
Our theater that we saw it at in West Hollywood was, I mean, it may not have been like Rialto Stab, like off the hook, but the entire audience was super into it.
Yeah,
I made the mistake. I did not notice it, but I got 4DX tickets.
Oh shit!
Oh, was there just jabs in your back?
Yeah,
the
jabs in my
entire
back
time?
for every stab, for every shot. There was the the little air bursts.
There was not.
Did you see it downtown?
Yeah, at the LA
Live?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I desperately wanted some like spray for blood.
Oh yeah. You
Didn't get that.
Was there like misters? I remember when we saw a movie there in 40X, there was like misters.
No, but in the
a
opening,
lot of strobe lights.
I remember the opening scene. It got really cold.
Ooh.
It got really, because it's like they're showing like the outside of Tara's house, and it's like, oh my god, why is it like 50 in here?
Wow, weird. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then otherwise, like through the chases, like we're getting tossed around. And
Sure.
Wow.
Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
This wasn't. I almost fell out of my chair a couple of times.
I know.
I was like, "Where's the seatbelt?"
Seatbelts on those.
And kind of the big killer reveal from the very moment that I saw Jack Quaid signed onto it. I immediately thought, "Oh well, you're not going to be booking Jack Quaid if you're not going to use him. If he's not going to be the pivotal role of this movie."
Yeah, I will say in this one, I saw the killers coming a mile away, and it didn't take away from my enjoyment.
No, yeah.
We just
That's
need
the thing. All those little nitpicky things, I'm like, I was still having fun.
The type of people that I'm seeing in my Instagram and Facebook feed that are complaining about it, I do kind of want to ask them, like, what kind of a movie did you want?
Who did you want?
Like, I don't.
Did you want it to be Sidney?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this. Neve Campbell said that she would only participate in Scream 6 if Sidney lives.
Ah.
And she said that character has come to mean survival for so many people.
True.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as a Santa Gay note, she talked about, Kevin Williamson has recently brought up, he says these are movies about gay survival.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're an allegory for gay survival. And Neve Campbell's spoken to that too. They asked her about what she thought about Billy and Stu being gay. She didn't really want to talk about it because it was kind of like a pathologizing gay people thing.
Sure.
So she was
That's
like,
fair.
She was like, maybe they weren't able to be who they really wanted to be, but I don't know if it's that.
Yeah.
But she spoke to the fact that like Sidney Prescott is like a hero for the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
As is Gail Weathers, maybe not to the extent in a different way. I mean, Gail's just camp and bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right though. Because Sidney can't die. Like even, if they do one more. I'm
glad that Neve Campbell didn't have the Harrison Ford request of, I'll do this movie, but you're going to fucking kill me at the end because I'm not doing
She
more.
knows what it means to like the fans, and that's great.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. I think we are just about out of time. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for kicking off our season.
I'm so happy to be here.
We've been meaning to get to this movie for a while. We did Scream way back like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And we finally got around the 2.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, folks.
Ton of fun. We'll have you on again.
You know where to find me.
Think of something fun to talk about.
If anyone is super excited to hear about my other commentary, please go back to the Addams Family Values. I'm plugging myself.
Yep. Yeah. Good episode.
Go listen to our Addams Family Values episode. Thanksgiving fun for the whole family. Well, until next time, Andy, we will see you very, very soon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
And thank you so much, everybody, for listening.
It's good to be back.
We are back. This is fun. We haven't recorded in a while.
Had the month of January off.
Indeed.
We are refreshed from the winter break
Fresh
and
as
ready
a
for
daisy.
some episodes. Our next 2 episodes are going to be really fun. They're kind of a little Valentine's Day 2-week lineup.
Very fun.
There's some pretty big movies, too. I'm excited.
Yeah. That'll be cool. So stay tuned, everybody. Stay tuned, everybody. We are going to take this time for some Patreon shout-outs. You guys, patrons, thank you so much for sticking with us.
Yeah.
The break. That was awesome. But there's going to be some really fun stuff coming to the Patreon. We're going to do another commentary track soon just for you guys. And
also for Patreon subscribers, whenever we record episodes early and I finish editing them, I'm putting them right on Patreon.
Yeah, so you can get them before the Friday drop. So take a look out for that. So we would love to say hello. Thank you so much to Seth, Alberto, Esperanza, Nicole, Susan, Barry, JJ, Leighton, Shelby, Michael, Charlie, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Josh, Emily, Millie, Aaron, Melinda and Jim, Jessica, Nick and Shannon, Christine and Rufino.
Thank you for being
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys. Head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay for all of the fun, additional, exclusive content that you can find directly there. We'd also love it if you would rate and review our show. You can rate us now on Spotify.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so give us 5 stars over on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Give us 5 stars. You can also find us on social media on Instagram and Facebook. We are at Movies That Made Us Gay.
And Twitter at MTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. And if you want to find us, our personal pages, my name is Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and look up my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. Look up his letterbox. He rates everything that we watch, and we watch movies all the time. So, until next week, everybody, thanks for sticking around. It's great to be back. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.